All right, in this video we're going to look at learning target 5.1. I can recognize the graph of sine or cosine, and 5.2 I can construct the graph of sine or cosine using multiple periods. So the first problem here asks us to identify and label the sine and the cosine functions. So when I look at these two functions right here, I have to decide which one is sine and which one is cosine. So the first thing that I notice is the y-intercept. The y-intercept for this graph is 0, 1. That tells me that this is the cosine function. The y-intercept for this graph is 0, 0, so this is the sine function. Problem number 2 says, what's the difference on the graph between the sine and the cosine? Name at least 2. So the y-intercepts are different. Okay, so the y-intercepts are different. For the cosine, it's 0, 1, and for the sine, it's 0, 0. Okay, so that's one difference. Another difference, the tables are different. Okay, the tables are different. The cosine starts at 0, 1 and goes down to, and I'm going to make my table go this way, I think. Goes down to pi over 2, 0. Then pi, negative 1. Then 3 pi over 2, 0. And 2 pi, 1. Okay, that's my cosine function. Then the sine function starts at 0, 0, and then it goes up first to pi over 2, 1. Then it goes to pi, 0. Then it goes to 3 pi over 2, negative 1. And then it goes to 2 pi, 0. So the tables are different. Now there were some other things that we found that were different when we were looking at the double bubble map. So you may want to go back and look at those, because other differences would be correct answers there as well. Okay. In 5.2 it says I can construct the graph of the sine or cosine function using multiple periods, and they want us to graph the sine function. Well, I know that the period of the sine function is 2 pi, so I'm going to do 0 to 2 pi. Then I'm going to divide this in half, halfway between 0 and 2 pi. 0 plus 2 is 2, divided by 2 is 1, so that's 1 pi. 0 plus 1 is 1, divided by 2 is 1 half, so that's pi over 2. And 1 plus 2 is 3, divided by 2 is 3 halves, so that's 3 pi over 2. I know that my sine function starts at 0, 0, and its amplitude is 1, so it goes up to 1 and down to negative 1. My sine function, this is sine, so it's going to go up first to pi over 2, 1, then to 0 pi, then to negative 3 pi over 2, negative 1, and then to 2 pi 0. Notice that these points right here are the same points that are on my table above, and then I'm going to connect those with a smooth curve as best I can. And this wants us to use multiple periods from negative 2 pi to 2 pi. So I'm going to have to come back here and do 0 to negative 2 pi. Halfway is negative pi. Halfway here is negative pi over 2. And halfway here is negative 3 pi over 2. And then I go negative pi over 2, negative 1, pi 0, 3 pi over 2, 1, and 2 pi 0. So here, if I can draw it correctly, is my sine function with multiple periods. Sliding this up, I'm going to now graph the cosine function. And they want me to do that from negative 2 pi to 2 pi also. So the period for the cosine function is also 2 pi, so I'm going to divide this up exactly the same way I did for the sine function. I'm going to go to 0 to negative 2 pi as well. And this is 3 pi over 2, and it's negative. Okay, so my amplitude for the cosine function is also negative 1 to 1. The amplitude is 1, which means the range is from negative 1 to 1. And the cosine function starts at a y-intercept of 0, 1, and then it goes down 2 pi 0, down again pi negative 1, then it comes up 3 pi over 2, 0, and 2 pi 1. So this is what my cosine function looks like on this side of the graph. And then this side, it's going to come down, down, up, up. Let's see if I can draw this so it doesn't look so V-shaped. That looks a little bit better. Okay, so here's your cosine function from negative 2 pi to 2 pi. All right, for these two learning targets, you just have to learn those two functions and what their parent function looks like and what their similarities and differences are.